Okay, here we go again. Does anybody have, anything interesting, anything, big that happened recently to talk about tonight? I don't really know. Just kidding, actually. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. Originally, as of 3 hours ago, well, a little bit beyond that, 4 hours ago, we'll say, was planning to come on here, talk about the complete and total darkness that is the Pittsburgh Steelers, another season down the toilet with another first round playoff exit. We would talk a little bit about some Pittsburgh Penguins hockey as well, and with the Pittsburgh Pirates, we'll talk about them as well. Was originally planning to just talk about all that. Then at 2:05 Eastern Standard Time, the biggest breaking news story that will probably ever be covered on this channel, and one of the biggest breaking news stories in the history of Pittsburgh professional sports came down. Mike Tomlin, after 19 seasons, stepping down as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Very, very shocking. We've been wondering, when's it going to be time? Is Tomlin ever going to go? Well, today, by his own accord, according to reports, Tomlin stepping down. The Steelers, for the first time since 1969, will hire their fourth head coach in franchise history. Chuck Noll was here for 23 years, Bill Cowher for 15, Tomlin for 19. It ends at 19 for Tomlin. So a new era, just less than 24 hours after another humiliating playoff loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their most humiliating playoff loss at home. Less than 24 hours after that, we enter into a new era for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Really, a new era for Pittsburgh sports in general. We'll go over that a little bit later on in the show. But before we get into this jam-packed Monday episode of the Steel City Sports Report, want to, of course, start off by saying, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Again, up to 706 subscribers on the channel. We've been gaining new subscribers slowly but surely since the breaking Tomlin news earlier this afternoon. Also, if you're new here, please like this live stream, share this live stream in the comment section. Go there right now. Any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have, please put those in the chat there. Your thoughts and opinions on Mike Tomlin stepping down as Steelers head coach. I'm going to be careful to say that he has not been fired. I know it's hard to do. Tons of other people at professional outlets have struggled saying that this isn't a firing as well, but it feels like it. Something that we never ever thought was going to happen in really for a while. It would be years and years down the line that we thought this would happen. Not today, though. So this is shocking news. Also, after you like, share, leave a comment. Also, go check out the channel at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Come back later on tonight. I have no idea how the hell I'm going to put all of the weekend's news in a 60-second time frame here, but I'm going to try it. Come back later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. To the comment section we go to start off the show before we get back in to the big breaking news of Mike Tomlin being letting himself go as Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Greg here in the comment section. Welcome, Greg. A new era in Steelers Nation. Indeed it is, Greg. It is a new era upon us. 19 years, pretty much my entire conscious lifetime, Mike Tomlin has been at the helm of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. And now, with him stepping away, a new era, pretty much a brand new slate, if they really won it, should be coming for the Pittsburgh Steelers, going into a new chapter of their historic franchise, because Tomlin, he's now out. I'm sure a ton of coaches, which rightfully they should, be going out the door with him. Players, you got some old veteran players that you brought in, especially Aaron Rodgers. I doubt that some of them come back. What other players that are currently under contract for the next few years of the Steelers, do they want out? We shall see, but indeed, it is a new era in the Steelers chapter of their franchise here. Also, we got another commenter here. Welcome back. This is like the Pope stepping down. I think we should get Shula or Flores as head coach. We will, as we work through Tomlin's step down here. We will get into who could possibly replace him. I sort of have it set up here to where we talk about Tomlin and, his successes, his failures here with the team. After that, we will get into what could be next for the Steelers, and we'll talk about head coach probabilities. There is a new, I think, odds out there from one betting site of like 50 names. That could be the Steelers head coach. We'll go through those here in a second. Truth coming back from earlier. Welcome back, Truth. Steelers have had one of the worst coaching staffs the last 10 years. Keep only Danny Smith. That is one guy who you cannot let go. It would have to be Danny Smith letting himself go or retiring. If you're a new coach in here, you got to recognize that the Steelers special teams unit, out of both sides of the ball here, it has been the most consistent unit. Going back 10 years ago, now back when this whole playoff drought started, the Steelers, they had the killer bees and the offense was doing well, but the defense was absolutely horrid. Over time, Big Ben retiring and all that, the defense then became dominant, and the offense over the past, 4 or 5 years has been near the bottom of the league. But out of all of it, the constant, besides Mike Tomlin being at the helm, the special teams, led by Danny Smith, has been a pretty good, consistently good unit. So I want Danny Smith to say, we shall see, though. Is he going to want to take orders from a new coach, just like the players? We shall wait and see. Great here. I'm 66. I lived in the glory days. We need them back. Well, now that Mike Tomlin is moving on, the Steelers hopefully will be getting out of the 10-7 first-round playoff bouncing purgatory that they have been in over the past couple of years. Hopefully now, one way or another, the Steelers will either, from Mike Tomlin's departure, rise above, what they have been doing, maybe win a few playoff games, go to the Super Bowl. There has to be a lot roster construction-wise and coaching-wise for that to happen, but it could happen. Or you want to get back to the glory days. How were the Steelers teams of those glory days built? Back then there, Greg, it took much sucking for the Steelers to build their first dynasty of the 70s. It took them sucking again through the 80s and portions of the 90s for them to then get Big Ben and win 2 more Super Bowls. So one way or another, the Steelers are either going to rise up or they are going to sink to the bottom of the league, which, as we have seen history-wise with this team, isn't the best thing, because usually with this franchise, when you hit bottom, eventually Super Bowl championships are on the other side. So hopefully that trend of the Steelers franchise is able to continue once again here. Flacco in here. Welcome back, Flacco. Still beyond mad. Been a Steeler fan my entire life. I feel like we are the most ungrateful fans, to be honest, not looking forward to having a new coach every other year. Well, I mean, you've been a Steeler fan all your life. You should know that the Steelers, rarely do they have a new head coach every other year. Like I said, this will be their 4th head coach since 1969. So chances are this, Steelers franchise, they are pretty lenient and graceful towards head coaches over, sometimes players and general managers even. So, maybe I doubt a Steeler head coach, the next coach, just because it's the modern era in sports that we are in. I doubt that a new head coach is going to go 15, 19 years like Cowher and Tomlin, but could they be here, for, say, 5 years? I would be willing to bet that, unless they are just god awful. We'll see who the Steelers hire, and we'll judge from there. Greg here. Need a young team to keep up with the rest of the league. Agreed there, Greg. They have been, under the Omar Khan tenureship as general manager, have been doing fairly well in their drafts. They have been doing well, picking up and solidifying the trenches. Jack Sawyer, linebacker they picked up, he's doing pretty well. Joey Porter Jr., he's doing pretty solid. He's going to earn himself a big boy bag here soon. There are young pieces on this team that you can build around. Let's just hopefully see if they're going to try to compete with those promising pieces, or if they're going to tear things down to the proverbial studs here and then build up from there. Flacco, zero faith, already off the cliff. Well, metaphorically off the cliff there, Flacco, not literally. Patrick in here. Welcome, Patrick. What do you think? What do you Steelers fans think of Raheem Morris as head coach? We have brought up Raheem Morris's name, but as a defensive coordinator under Mike Tomlin. Now that Tomlin is gone, is Morris, is he still going to be viewed as a DC option by whoever the new head coach is? Will he even want to be the new head coach of the Steelers because his good friend Mike Tomlin got exiled? Will Morris, look elsewhere if Mike Tomlin, I doubt it, but if Tomlin somehow, some way takes a job somewhere else, does Morris follow him there? I'm starting to waver on Raheem Morris as head coach. We shall see. He might take a interview with the Steelers, but there are a lot of questions about Morris and his relationship with Mike Tomlin, about him becoming the Steelers head coach. Maybe Tomlin vouches for him. Maybe that says something, but there are a ton of maybes. So I'm saying it so much with Raheem Morris. Greg here was different. Was a different time back then as far as building a team. Indeed, Greg, back then you build around the draft. Nowadays, you can still, got to hit on the draft a little bit here, but you can buy your way to a Super Bowl if you really, really want to. Boats in here. What's up, Boats? Get ready for high draft picks. I'm okay with that. High draft picks means shots at franchise quarterbacks, something that this team has not been able to find. It's been 6 years, going to be pushing 7 since Big Ben retired, of constantly seeing bridge quarterbacks and, younger guys not get their chances. We went from Mitch Trubisky to Kenny Pickett to Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and even Aaron Rodgers, 6 quarterbacks. And it's absolutely horrendous that it took 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers to probably look the best out of all of them. 22 of you in here talking again about Mike Tomlin and him stepping down as Steelers head coach after 19 seasons. Before we get into deep on your guys' comments here, do want to take a few moments here to reiterate, excuse me, what exactly happened here within the last over 3.5 hours at this point. So we do know Tomlin, 19-year run in Pittsburgh, done. He's stepping down. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN was the first to report about it. It was reported Tomlin informed the team that he was stepping down at around 1 o'clock at sometime earlier in the day. The team players then spoke at around 1 o'clock. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But Tomlin informed the team that he was stepping down. The statement from Steelers owner Art Rooney II earlier today. During our meeting today, Coach Tomlin informed me that he has decided to step down as our head coach. Rooney then went into how grateful he is to work with Mike, brought up his various accomplishments, making the playoffs 13 times, getting a Super Bowl, winning the AFC North 8 times, and of course, the 19 years of non-losing seasons. Rooney wrapping up his statement on Steelers Twitter right now. My family and I and everyone connected to Steelers management are forever grateful for the passion and dedication Mike Tomlin has devoted to the Steelers. I will give some truth to the ending of that statement. One thing that I don't think we ever criticized Mike Tomlin about was his work ethic when it came to the job. It felt like he was felt like he basically lived in the Steelers practice facility, was constantly watching film and all that throughout the draft process. That's going to be weird, and not seeing Mike Tomlin at every single, minute pro day and the Senior Bowl and all that. So we'll give Tomlin some credit there. Did have a hell of a work ethic. The statement then a little bit after I think we went off of the live stream earlier today, Tomlin, a statement from him posted by the Steelers about an hour after Art Rooney II's. After much thought and reflection, I have decided to step down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This organization has been a huge part of my life for many years, and it has been an absolute honor to lead this team. I am deeply grateful for Art Rooney II and the late Ambassador Rooney for their trust and support. I'm also thankful to the players who gave everything they had every day, and to the coaches and staff whose commitment and dedication made this journey so meaningful. I want to also thank Steelers Nation. Your passion, loyalty, and high expectations represent what makes this franchise truly special. Coaching in Pittsburgh is unlike anywhere else, and I will take great pride in having been a steward of this team. While this chapter comes to a close, my respect and love for the Pittsburgh Steelers will never change. I am excited for what the future holds for this organization, and I will forever be grateful for my time as coaching in Pittsburgh. This was absolutely insane there from Mike Tomlin. Just, wow. I mean, do want to bring up here that as much as we look forward to a new era of the Pittsburgh Steelers, do want to say, now that I've had a couple of hours to digest this, does hit a little hard now. Gonna admit it. It's the end of an era. Tomlin, for, like I said, most of my conscious lifetime, has been head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have barely known anything else other than seeing Tomlin as Steelers head coach. So, it does hit a little different here for this generation myself. Sure, it ended on rocky terms, like a bad marriage. What's the saying? You either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. Tomlin did become a tiny bit of a villain, but I do think with time, all those wounds will be healed. Can't say enough about Tomlin, the person. I think we all can agree. Mike Tomlin, a truly genuine one-of-one person. What you see on the field at the practice facility is what you get when the cameras are not rolling on him. Also, we mentioned the successes: 8 AFC North titles, 13 playoff appearances, never had a losing season, winningest coach in Steelers history. His final win, I think, passing him, or having him pass Chuck Noll for most wins in Steelers history, or at least tying it. I forget which it is, but does hit a little different. Tomlin getting fired, but it is Tomlin stepping down, but it is something that needed to happen. I mean, this entire season, up and downs, Steelers fans realized it was the same bad movie that we watched for the past 5 to 10 years. There were, even this year, it reached a fever pitch. There were fire Tomlin chants at the football games. I think most notably at the Buffalo Bills game. And of course, it comes to an end again with the same bad ending to the same bad movie that we have watched over and over again. Another loss in the first round of the playoffs. Tomlin now 0-7 in playoffs since losing to the New England Patriots in 2016. Since that 2016 season, the last time the Steelers won a playoff game, they lost in the divisional round to the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2017. Missed the playoffs the next 2 years. In 2020 and 2021, they lost in the wild card. The 2020 wild card loss to the Cleveland Browns. The 2021 wild card lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2022, they missed the playoffs, and then 2023 through this season, 2025, losing in the wild card to Buffalo, Baltimore, and last night Houston, 30-6. Tomlin, one and done 9 times in his postseason career as Steelers head coach, tying Marvin Lewis, by the way, for the longest postseason losing streak at 7 straight games. And like I said, 10-7, wild card exit, not good enough to make a run at the Super Bowl, not bad enough to, get a high draft pick. Just stuck in purgatory. Also, under Tomlin's watch, the Steelers offense really, really struggled, especially at the end. Since 2019, Steelers were 29th in points per game and 29th in yards per game, 23rd in points per game. I know dude is a defensive head coach, but gotta do better with your coaching staff and offensive personnel that you put out there. Failed at that. Tomlin last night after the game did say words are cheap. It's about what you do and you don't do. People talk too much in our business. You either do or you don't. Now, reading that back here after the news today, it felt like that it's got a more ominous feel to it. Like he knew at that time in his press conference that was it. Looked like it on his face at times, and now, unfortunately, things came to an end the way they did, the whole losing streak and all that. But I'm sure with time, we will be thankful of what Tomlin did, and also in the now, thankful that we will finally get a change with this organization. The Penguins, or the Steelers, in my opinion, going the avenue, or at least a similar path as the Pittsburgh Penguins last year, letting go of, or parting ways, I should say, with their longtime head coach who won them championships in the past, but it's clear things weren't working in the modern era of the sport. Penguins moved on. They got a new head coach with modern day philosophies, teams doing better than what anybody expected. Their old head coach, I doubt this is the case with Tomlin. Maybe in a year or so, I think Tomlin will go into TV. But for the Penguins case, Mike Sullivan got hired immediately. The New York Rangers, don't think they've been too hot to start the season. Tomlin, could he go somewhere else and have success? Yes, but was it definitely time for a change, and a big one for this organization? Indeed it is. So Tomlin out. Who knows who's going to be in next? We'll talk about that here in a moment. But at the very least, we can finally stop the old tropes of 10-7, blowing out in a wild card. Everyone this time of year posting the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, the Steelers not doing the same thing over and over again anymore. Tomlin steps down. A new era of Pittsburgh Steelers football is upon us. And one last note here on Tomlin here. Steelers, this is a step down from Tomlin, so he still did have 2 guaranteed years remaining on his contract. The Steelers owe him approximately $33 million. His deal was allegedly worth over $50 million for 3 years, $16.5 million per year. So we'll see how much the Steelers pay Tomlin to do something else here, and we'll see if any new team that hires him negates any of that contract. But regardless of money and feelings inside that organization, from the owner all the way down to the players, a change did need to happen, and we are going to get into some of those possible changes that could happen, including who could be head coach here in a moment. Back to the comment section. Welcome in here to Jackson. What the LED thing there? Where did you get that LED board? I got that for Christmas. It's a company, I believe, called Glance LED board. That's, I think they're sort of middle model, about a 2.5 foot LED board. New addition here to the offense just recently within the past couple of weeks. So I think that's pretty cool there, Jackson. Glad that you like it. Also, shout out the O'Neal Cruz profile picture. Back to the comments from earlier here, Mr. Overtime. We are screwed. We're screwed, period. Hope y'all happy now. Honestly, if it bites us in the ass, so be it. But, having Tomlin here, we weren't ever going to move one way or another. It was going to be stuck in the middle, not good enough to compete for a Super Bowl, not bad enough to completely switch things up and, get things better on the other side with the hope of drafting a franchise quarterback. But now that change is there. So I won't necessarily say we're screwed. Short term, sure. Short term, maybe we'll take a step back and go through a few years of futility and terrible football to watch. But on the other side, I mean, still, it's better to rip the Band-Aid off now than to rip it off, 2-3 years from now when Tomlin's contract is up. Patrick here, Steelers never panic, so be thankful that they will take, be thankful for that. They will take their time. Yeah, I mean, Steelers, they took their time with Tomlin. I think they're going to take their time in this head coaching search. I do want to see at least a tiny bit of urgency if they really like one guy, because their division rivals, Cleveland and Baltimore, have a leg up on them in terms of a week's head start for head coaching interviews. But the Steelers, they are going to give a chance to whoever the next head coach is in an extended look. New head coach in the start of a Will Howard era. You truly want the Will Howard era? I know it's, a 1 in a million shot this guy becomes head coach, but if you for sure want to see Will Howard get a shot as the Steelers quarterback, guaranteed, it would be John Gruden as head coach. Will that happen? I don't know. I do want to see Howard get a chance, regardless of who's the head coach. Hopefully the head coach doesn't look at Howard like the 6th round guy drafted by the head coach before me. I don't want him, cast him out. I do hope he gets a chance here from Howard. Robert in here. Kurt Cignetti of Indiana is a Pittsburgh native. Did mention Cignetti on the live stream earlier tonight. Now, I highly doubt he's going to leave Indiana. The Steelers would have to throw him an irresistible bag, but I think Cignetti is going to want to stay there at Indiana. We already know, we'll mention it here in a moment, one of those college coaches that has been linked to the Steelers as a head coaching candidate did confirm again within the past few hours that he will be staying there at his current school. Mike McCarthy, we brought up too, passing by, another Pittsburgh native, former Dallas Cowboys head coach. He'd be going excuse me. Rarely do I sneeze here on the channel like that. But McCarthy, kind of not going that far from the Tomlin tree, a guy who wins more than he loses, but when playoffs rolls around, very little success. Theo here, back. Let's go. What's up? Go Steelers, bro. I don't know about the Pirates, but another story. Tilbom Nutting sells the team. That would be the icing in the cherry on top of this new era of Pittsburgh sports. If the Pirates were to somehow get new ownership, that just as unlikely as Mike Tomlin. That thing was viewed as just as unlikely as Mike Tomlin not being the Steelers head coach. Probably still is highly unlikely, but man, you want to talk about seeing a party in this room. If Nutting were to sell the team, I have a sell the team shirt, didn't wear it today. That would be golden. We will get to the Pirates here in a little bit. Here, Theo. Thank you for the comments. Concepts here returning. Thank you, Coach T. One of the greatest coaches of all time. Can't control it myself, so I'll step back and trust the process. Says Concepts and Flacco being upset with Coach T's firing. If it's any consolation prize, their Concepts and Flacco, more likely than not, Arthur Smith and Terrell Austin are following him out the door here with a new head coach. He's going to want his own coaching staff. So look at, if you're, a big Tomlin defender, at least look at that at the bright side. We don't need to have immediate questions about the coordinator pick. Some other comments here. Danny Smith is the only Smith who could stay. Ain't you said it best? MVS, and the S stands for Smith. Yep, no more Scantling. It's Marquez Valdez Smith. So MVS, Jonnu Smith, Arthur Smith, they can go. Danny Smith, you're cool. You stay. Another comment here from Concept. Sign Pete Carroll, SQB1. Can still sling football like Uncle Rico. Love that there. Well, Pete Carroll, if you want to try to compete for the now, Pete Carroll might be an option, but after the year he had at Las Vegas, yeah, nope. Then all of a sudden, Geno Smith is the week 1 starter. DK Metcalf, Pete Carroll reunion would be interesting. Imagine Coach T buys the Pirates. Could you imagine? The Pirates actually, you think Pirates fans will take Coach T being the owner of the Pirates, because Coach T, impeccable regular season success. The Pirates, they are just begging to have a taste of that right now. So if Tomlin buys the Pirates and the Pirates go to the playoffs his first year there, don't have a losing season for the tenure of his ownership, that would wash out any ill will he has right now for how his Steelers career ended. That's for sure. 22 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. On your way in, please hit subscribe in the comments section. Leave your thoughts, opinions, and reactions to Mike Tomlin stepping down as Steelers head coach. And also, we're going to get into this now. Who would you replace Tomlin with? Get those in the comment section right now. Do want to move along with this. Now let's move past Tomlin, giving him his flowers, criticizing what he did. We're moving past Tomlin here for a bit here. What does the new era for the Pittsburgh Steelers have in store? Gotta wonder that. The Steelers, first off, we'll talk about the head coaching candidates. I think out of all the vacancies out there right now in the NFL, the Steelers, they gotta be one of the more appealing ones, right? Just from a, historical standpoint, and from seeing that head coaches are given much job security here. The Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Giants, Titans, Falcons, Cardinals, Raiders, Dolphins. Those are the head coaching vacancies out there right now. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson. The Raiders, they got the first overall pick. The Giants, another team in a big market. Those are appealing places. The Falcons, they got Michael Penix. Not sure if a new head coach is going to view him as the future, but those places, they do have appealing qualities to them. But the Steelers, being the franchise they are and being a franchise that does not fire head coaches, could that be top of the board, intriguing spot for these head coaching candidates? I don't know. You guys got to let me know. This here is from BetOnline. A new Steelers head coaching odds just dropped. Going to pop those up on the screen here. I rattle them off. You guys call out here. I also have a few of my thoughts and opinions as we go along here. The new head coaches odds for the Steelers. Number one of the list. And this guy, just a moment ago, I believe let me go here. I believe this is Jordan Schultz, former Fox Sports reporter. He put out that a high-level executive told him that the Steelers and Brian Flores, they just make too much sense. So that, according to Schultz, is the Steelers' top candidate. It's also the top candidate, according to this BetOnline odds right here. Gonna pop those back up for you real quick. And where did it go? There it is right there. There it is. BetOnline right there. So Brian Flores 3-1. Marcus Freeman. Then after that, Freeman just announced, according to Adam Schefter, that he will be staying at Notre Dame. So he is off the board. Jesse Minter, I believe DC for the LA Chargers. That's another young defensive mind like Flores. Chris Shula is here as well. Shula, Minter, Flores, three of the top 5 young defensive minds. Larry Foote, former Steeler, 4-1 odds. Did not have him pegged for possibility for the Steelers head coach. But if you want to maybe bring back a guy who was here when this team last had success, that could be a situation. That could be a scenario. Some other names here: Anthony Weaver, believe DC for the Dolphins. Robert Saleh, same thing. We saw what he did with the Jets, though. Like I believe, who was it that was mentioned earlier? Mike McDaniel and a few others. Was it more the Jets just being the Jets than Saleh actually being a bad head coach? I don't know, but Saleh's there. Jeff Hafley, Kevin Stefanski. That could be an interesting one. Definitely would be a guy, Stefanski, that would feel more like a win now mode. If you win 2 Coaches of the Year awards with the Browns, then clearly you're not the problem. They are. Mike McDaniel is there. Vance Joseph. Mike Vrabel. This one here really perked me up. Vrabel about to play the Houston Texans, who just beat the Steelers, coming up on Sunday at 3. Could Vrabel want to leave New England? I highly doubt it. That situation's too good for him right now. But imagine just if Rabel were to say, I'm going back to the place where I got drafted in the Steelers. I'm going home. That'd be crazy. Lou Anarumo, former DC of the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he was currently with the Indianapolis Colts. Cliff Kingsbury is here. He is an interesting guy. Seeing what he did with Jaden Daniels there in DC the past 2 years. This year was pretty much a wash because of injury. He just parted ways with the Washington Commanders. Head coach, stretching it, but I guess I'd be cool with it. But as an OC, I would love to bring in Cliff Kingsbury. And then we're really getting down into some crazy, crazy territory here with these names. Jim Schwartz, DC, who's interviewing for the Cleveland Browns. He's currently there. He might stay in the building. Matt Nagy, U. Arthur Smith, double U. Terrell Austin, triple U. Matt LaFleur, you want to maybe bring back Aaron Rodgers for a year. I doubt Rodgers stays now, by the way, but LaFleur, if he ever gets let go of Green Bay, we might take a look. And then these guys completely out of reach. Cowher, Belichick, Deion Sanders of all people. Yeah, we're going to hire Deion Sanders and have him coach twice a year against the team his kid is on. And then John Gruden. Gruden, the biggest long shot here. One of the biggest long shots that I would absolutely love. But hey, dreamers can dream, am I right? But yeah, with these Steelers, interested to hear what you guys think about Steelers' new head coach, Flores, the leader right now. A little shocked. I don't believe I saw Clint Kubiak on that list. Would love to have him. He's a young offensive head coach. That'd be stepping outside the box if you're the Steelers. But historically, Tomlin, Cowher, the Steelers have hired young defensive-minded head coaches. So no surprise, Shula, Minter, Flores leading the group there for the Steelers. I give a big leg up seeing how he's been here before for Flores in the race between those three. Hopefully, Steelers are able to hire one of these guys and they're able to have some success like who they just faced. D'Amico Ryans, Texans head coach. 3 years on the job there in Houston and 3 playoff wins in those first 3 years. So maybe getting in a young head coach, period, or seeing how it's the Steelers, a young defensive head coach. Hopefully they're able to have similar success like that. Somehow, what's hilarious out of this whole thing is that Zach Taylor just rattled off all of those teams looking for head coach. Somehow Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, is still standing. If you were to tell me before the season started that 3 of the 4 AFC North head coaches would be fired, I think we all would have agreed that Mike Tomlin would have been the lone man left standing, and maybe Zach Taylor would be the most likely to get fired. Now look at him. Dude who can't win without Joe Burrow. He's going to get another shot there. So that is pretty crazy. We also mentioned a moment ago, Terrell Austin, Arthur Smith, those guys on the list, they're probably going to be gone. There's no way they get hired as the Steelers head coach. They're probably out of here as coordinators, maybe a couple positional coaches as well. I think Pat Myers, offensive line coach, did well to get this offensive line playing well this season, but overall, he's underachieved. We shall see what other coaching changes come from the Steelers. We'll report on those when they do happen. Onto the players here, talking about what could change in the future player-wise for the Steelers. Today, Steelers had locker room clean out. It was about a 45-minute session, and from what I hear, it was strange vibes in there. Well, now we know why they were strange. That was all happening before the departure of Tomlin was announced. Aaron Rodgers, we can write it in Sharpie right now, unless he has a massive change of heart compared to what he had last night. He is going to be out. He's not coming back here. It's a one-and-done year for Aaron Rodgers. Last night, after the game, Rodgers complimented Tomlin, supported him throughout his post-game presser. Mike T has had more success than damn near anybody in the league for the last 19, 20 years. More than that, though, when you have the right guy and the culture is right, you don't think about making a change. Well, Rodgers defended Tomlin until the very end, even dropped an F-bomb, walked off the set. Rodgers did say that he is not going to make any emotional decisions about his playing future, whether that's retirement or coming back or going somewhere else. But now that Tomlin's gone, defending him like he just did uh, in those post game quotes, do not see how the Steelers and Tomlin part ways and Rodgers stays here. So farewell, Aaron Rodgers. Thank you. We barely knew ye, but it was a fun year for the most part for some of the excitement you gave us, showing some vintage 4-time MVP stuff. Also, two other guys here that could be having a change of heart on whether they want to continue being Steelers. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, leaders on defense. Watt, he was very sad and solemn post game last night. At the time, we thought maybe that was just because the Steelers again failed in the playoffs and he has yet to have a playoff win in his accomplished career. But now maybe with Tomlin moving on, maybe he was sad and upset for a different reason. Cam Hayward as well. I mean, he, like Rodgers, defended Tomlin, said he didn't really care about the noise. Coaches can only do so much. The players have to be better at there from Hayward. He was probably the guy on this team who was most close. As a matter of fact, he probably wasn't. He was the player that was the most connected with Mike Tomlin, longest tenured current Steeler on the roster. And now with Tomlin out, are those guys going to want to stay here? I don't know. TJ just signed an extension. Is he thinking about maybe requesting to go somewhere else? Hayward, he's got 1 year left on his contract. Could he be thinking about an early retirement? I don't know. Lots and lots of questions about this Pittsburgh Steelers roster now. Not just the coaching staff. We got to remember that the roster is a part of this. We'll get into some free agents of the Steelers here coming up in a little bit, but the roster could be going through a ton of turnover, just like the coaching staff. Last thing here on the Steelers, what changes they could make. Draft strategy, that could change. Usually with Mike Tomlin and, before Omar Khan, it was Kevin Colbert. We kind of knew the type of players that the Steelers were going to be looking for at certain spots in the draft and the type of, traits that they liked in players. This time around, new head coach coming in, Omar Khan, he's, been influencing more draft choices in the later stages of Tomlin's tenure here. Who the Steelers go after in the draft now. I mean, we can all come to our own conclusions about who the best players in this draft are going to be. I think it'll be pretty easy for us to, put a big board together. But in terms of who will fit the Steelers and who will be, a Steeler type player, that all of a sudden that definition's now changing. So who knows what could be on deck here for the Steelers. Steelers, by the way, in the draft here, which is 100 days out in Pittsburgh, they own the 21st overall pick. Also, Khan and the new head coach, they're going to be more aggressive, try to go after a quarterback in this year's draft. Do they, keep on to the pick and trade players at the draft to, get some draft picks back? I don't know, but tons of changes coming to the Steelers with this Mike Tomlin news today of him stepping away. Who's going to be the new head coach? What does the roster look like next year? What do they do in their draft and free agent strategies? What types of players are they going to be looking to bring in to build around what's currently on this roster? Lots and lots of questions, but we shall see. Other thing that I think fans are joking about, someone brought it up a moment ago. I believe it might have been Theo. Next thing would be for Bob Nutting to sell the Pirates. Imagine now you really want to wholesale change to the Steelers franchise. Danny Rooney, Art Rooney, the second's son, appears to be, by all accounts, a more football first minded individual, just like the Chief. Could Art the second, now that his bread and butter Tomlin has stepped away, could Art be handing over the keys to the car to his son Danny? That would be a just as big, maybe even bigger change into how the Steelers as a franchise operate. So that could be the next big news on the list here for the Steelers. Maybe we get a inkling of what could be next for the Steelers tomorrow. Art Rooney II will hold a press conference tomorrow at noon. So I'm sure all of us will be tuned into that. That might be one of the most watched Steelers live streams of all time. 20 of you in here right now. Welcome to the Steel City Sports Report. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button in the comments section. Leave what are your thoughts on the game last night. We'll break that down. That was going to be the big thing that we talked about here tonight before this Tomlin news. We'll break down the game a tiny bit, go over some really, sloppy thrown together winners and losers from last night's game. Obviously didn't have as much time to think about that and put that stuff together because of this Tomlin news. But what are your thoughts on last night's game? Thoughts on Tomlin stepping down as Steelers head coach? Thoughts on the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers and who you would like to see become the next head coach? Concepts here, another comment a couple moments ago. Tomlin will go to Vegas and draft Mendoza. Heard it here first. Just yapping, by the way, with this one. Joking. Through my misery. LOL. That's all right there, Concepts. Yeah, if Tomlin's going to go anywhere, I first off think Tomlin, like what Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk said on 93.7 The Fan last week, I do think Tomlin does have something in his back pocket that is not a coaching job. Most likely will be a TV gig of some sort, or maybe if it is something with an NFL franchise, it might be something in a front office role. Like we remember someone brought up Pete Carroll to the Steelers a few minutes ago. Carroll, he was a part of the Seahawks front office there for a little bit before he took the Raiders job. He was a consultant or something up there, taking an office job with the Seahawks for a year or so. Maybe Tomlin does that with another team. Maybe he does it with the Steelers. Who knows? But we shall see. If Tomlin is going to go anywhere, it's going to be somewhere with a proven franchise quarterback, I would think. I know the Ravens have Lamar Jackson, but I'm not sure Tomlin is going to do that to the Steelers organization if he has the respect and honor for the organization, like what he said. So that really limits you down. Could New York be an intriguing spot? Yes. Jackson Dart, think the Steelers like Jackson Dart coming out of the draft last year. Could Tomlin go up there and maybe be that coach? Maybe, but does he really want to go into a even bigger, what's the word I'm looking for? An even bigger, more media pressured environment like New York? I don't know. Mendoza in Vegas. Mendoza's going to be a rookie franchise guy. Who knows? But the Raiders were smart. They would see that Tomlin does not develop young quarterbacks all that well, and they'd be right to stay away from him if that's the case. And they take Mendoza. My dad in here. We met Coach T at a Pirates game. Indeed, we did. Again, back to Coach T, the person here. I wish Tomlin nothing but the best. I think some fans out there are being a little bit too celebratory about his departure here. It is a good thing that he is gone and that the Steelers get to move forward into the future, but also, Tomlin, the success he brought to the team here, the non-losing seasons, the Super Bowl championship, all of that, and the fact that he is just an all-around great guy. No questions whatsoever about the character of Tomlin in person. Me and my family meeting him, no question about the character that he is. So wishing nothing but the best for Coach T. Arduzzi, all day long, JK, I swear you better be, Concepts. You better be. Jackson Edelin in here. Marcus Freeman or the coach from Indiana. You want to go to college route there, Jackson? There's, bit of a pause with college head coaches. How do they adapt to the NFL coaching staff? I would take Cignetti over Freeman, even if Freeman was a option, but he's going back to Notre Dame. Cignetti, maybe it gives him a slight idea of going and playing for his hometown NFL and coaching his hometown NFL team, but I think he's going to stay put where he is in Indiana. Seems to be building a good thing right there. Back to the to the list a moment ago. No Saban on that list. Yeah, no Nick Saban. He's in the Bill Cowher category where he's pretty much done coaching and he's not going to go back. Why would Vrabel leave May? Exactly. Same thing with LaFleur and Love. Yeah, LaFleur. I mean, who fires LaFleur, honestly? Because it's a no ownership organization up there in Green Bay. Interested by that. Zach Taylor, I thought, had the least job security. And somehow, we thought that last year. Somehow he is the last man standing. Truth in here. Larry Foote. Yeah, like it. Where is Foote right now? Isn't he coach on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers staff? At least that's maybe where I last remember him. Could be. Interested to see. That might be a PR move at the very least for the Steelers, bringing Larry Foote, a player who's been here, won that with the Steelers in the past. It could be something to maybe rile up Steelers Nation a little bit. Would the Steelers relocate ever? No. And the NFL will not allow the Steelers to relocate. And you talking, well, first off, are you talking like a relocation to like another state or a relocation to another part of Western Pennsylvania? Because moving, following the footsteps of these other teams that are building new stadiums, outside the cities. Could the Steelers do that and, build a stadium in like Cranberry or something? That's a possibility, but you will never see the Steelers be anything else but Pittsburgh teams. It's, a one-of-a-kind organization that is not ever, 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 ever going to move. NFL this year is done until the draft for me, Flacco. I understand that. We will be doing draft coverage. That might need to be pushed back a little bit. We will talk about the draft for about the month or so leading up to the draft in Pittsburgh. But, now this coaching search for the Steelers, that's going to take up most of our off-season agenda here. Winners, defense, losers, offense. You're welcome. Pretty spot on there, concepts. Pretty spot on. We will get to that right now. Tampa Bay coach and linebackers coach, run coach and line coach there for Larry Fett. Okay. I knew he was thought he was a linebackers coach down there. Just was unsure if it was with Tampa Bay or something. London, Frankfurt, Salt Lake City, Antonio. Yeah, none of those places are getting the Steelers. A brand new team, expansion team, maybe, but certainly not any of those places are going to get the Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember, it's always the Pittsburgh Steelers. Art the Chief said it himself. Still a good bit of you in here right now. Gonna real quick, we're not going to spend too much time on this here, but do want to bring up the game last night for the Steelers. That would have been what we let off the show here with tonight, but then this biggest news in Steelers franchise history, aside from a Super Bowl win, went down. Last night, Steelers, of course, reason why Tomlin is gone here today, their season coming to an end in the wild card against the Houston Texans. The Steelers, they started the ball on offense, and they had 2 first down plays on the first 2 plays of the game. Then they got away from the run, and incompletion from Aaron Rodgers forced the Steelers to punt. Good news is that the Steelers, after giving up a 36-yard completion to Christian Kirk, not Charlie, what Stephen A. Smith said today, Christian Kirk, which, by the way, side note here, Christian Kirk, you want to talk about a guy who is pretty much a guaranteed lock to be a Steeler next year. At least, well, now with Mike Tomlin gone, this might change up a little bit, but historically, or at least over the past couple of years with the Steelers, if you burned the Steelers, you were brought on to the team. We saw it last year with Kenneth Gainwell. He comes to Pittsburgh. If the Steelers, if they're going to continue that trend of just bringing in guys that absolutely torch them, Christian Kirk certainly fits that bill as a wide receiver. Maybe a low-key wide receiver too if the Steelers don't find anything in the draft or free agency. But after Kirk had a big pickup, 36-yard gainer with the Steelers, the Steelers defense did stiffen up around midfield. They forced the Texans to punt. Steelers then offensively again started off the drive hot, 25-yard play, then had a 14-yard completion to DK Metcalf. They got in the field goal range quickly, and then just falling apart when they get into Texans territory. They ended up kicking a field goal. Houston then, 7-play drive, looked to be moving the ball pretty consistently down the field on the Steelers. Another hookup for 16 yards got them to the Pittsburgh 40. Then the rookies, they all chipped in. Derek Harmon had a good game last night. Jack Sawyer, 4th-round rookie for the Steelers, strips C.J. Stroud of the football. And Y.A. Black, the 5th-round rookie from this past year's draft, he falls on it. Steelers get the fumble recovery. A trend that we saw many, many times last night. What did the Steelers do off that turnover? Nothing. 3 and out. Second quarter, the Texans offense, that's when they finally clicked on full cylinders. They did have a fumble recovery of their own after a botched snap by C.J. Stroud, but then dink and dunk, running the ball short, throwing the ball long. That took them all the way down to the Steelers' 6-yard line, and then Stroud finished it off with a 6-yard touchdown pass to Christian Kirk uncontested. Steelers, again, 3 and out, 0 yards gained. The defense, though, trying to give the Steelers offense a boost. A fumble recovery again. Stroud hit by Keanu Benton. Ball clearly came out before his arm came forward. TJ Watt falls on it for the recovery all the way at the Houston 21. Steelers offensively were able to get a first down or two, but then they kicked a field goal, just could barely get inside the red zone before they had to kick a 35-yard field goal with Chris Boswell. That made it 7-6, and that was the game right there. On one of the previous drives, I want to say it was the second drive of the game, DK Metcalf had a big drop that really took the wind out of the sails entirely for the Steelers. That set off that chain of, 3 and outs for the Steelers and not being able to finish drives with points. So that was pretty much the end of the game there. The Texans, they did get the ball back with a little over 3 minutes left, with a little over 2 minutes left, to end the first half. They slowly got to midfield, but ended up punting the ball away. To begin the third quarter, one last gasp from the Steelers defense to get the offense going was for naught. An interception to begin the second half for the Steelers. The Texans moved the ball with big chunk plays quickly into Steelers territory, but then on a 3rd and 4, C.J. Stroud, trying to extend the play, throws an interception right at Brandon Eccles, intended for Xavier Hutchinson. Great stuff there from Eccles. Got up and returned the ball for a couple of yards after the fact as well. The Steelers, again, a turnover gifted to them. Another 8-play drive only got them 23 yards. They punted the ball back to the Texans. Then punts galore. 3 and out for Houston. Pretty much a 3 and out for Pittsburgh, but they had a 21-yard hookup with Adam Thielen mixed in there. Field goal then for the Texans to begin the fourth quarter, and this was the beginning of the end. The Texans, a 46-yard hookup from Stroud to Christian Kirk over the middle of the field. Kyle Duggar in coverage. He had a rotten ending to his season. Penalties did, slow down the Texans a little bit, but they would ultimately get to just over midfield, kick a 51-yard field goal with Fairbairn. Steelers on the ensuing drive. Fumble recovery by Houston. Rodgers just gets absolutely demolished from behind by Will Anderson. Big man touchdown. Sheldon Rankins picks it up and runs it back the other way for, I believe, 33 yards for the touchdown score. That made it a 2-touchdown game, and we all pretty much packed it in from there. Steelers down by 2 scores. Down by 2 scores. They decided, hey, let's punt. That's cool. The Texans, they then again went on a touchdown drive. The Steelers defense, at that point, they got worn down all game long. I don't blame them for giving up a touchdown there when you're out on the field constantly and your offense gives you no help. And as a matter of fact, they spit in your face by going 3-and-out after you get a turnover after a lengthy defensive stand. I would be giving up touchdowns late in the game too. It was a Woody Marks touchdown run. The running game for the Texans just diced up the Steelers again at the end. And then to cap off the Steelers season, the final pass of Aaron Rodgers' season, maybe the final pass of his career, was 5 plays into the penultimate drive of the Steelers. Throws an interception intended for Pat Freiermuth, of all people. Was only his third target of the game. Shouldn't have been that. Was picked off by Kalen Bullock at the 50, and he ran it back 50 yards for a pick 6. 2 defensive touchdowns for the Texans. Just unbelievable stuff. They missed the extra point. Who cares? 30-6 final score. Mason Rudolph came in for a garbage drive late in the game that wasn't anything newsworthy. So the Steelers, 30-6, they lose to wrap up their season. Much to talk about with that game, winners and losers wise. First loser, of course, was the Steelers coaching staff. They're obviously that today with Tomlin stepping down, but last night was the worst home playoff loss in franchise history for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tomlin continued his playoff losing drought to 7 games, and that made it 7 games in a row, by the way, for the Steelers to have trailed by at least 21 points at some point in time in those 7 playoff losses. So that was outstanding. The winner, pretty much the lone winner of the game for the Steelers. The defense, I mean, they played their hearts out, working from the secondary, working our way forward. Joey Porter Jr., he is a shutdown corner that is going to get paid big bucks, and deservedly so, for the year he had. I mean, most of the game was on Nico Collins before Collins went out with injury. Porter was doing well against one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. And then also on top of it, we know the whole stats for Peasy Jr. No touchdown passes allowed against him. He's second in yards against, top 10 in completion percentage and QBR or something like that. So Porter also cut down on penalties. That's a big thing with his game. Porter Jr., outstanding for his season for him. He's going to come back and be this team's number 1 next year. Brandon Echols, interception for him. Good stuff there. Jalen Ramsey, I mean, had a pedestrian game again, but better than what other safety options the Steelers had out there, and Kyle Duggar and Chuck Clark. Well, I will move Chuck Clark up a little bit above Kyle Duggar here. He did have a big pass breakup in that game. Linebackers, again, linebackers can't say enough about the outside guys. TJ Watt, fumble recovery. Alex Highsmith, he had a strong ending to the season. Nick Herbig was making life hell for CJ Stroud there. Jack Sawyer making the biggest play defensively of the game for the Steelers, in my opinion. So shout out to those guys. I mean, there is something to be said about, Watt and Herbig, or in Highsmith not being able to get Stroud to the ground. But, just them making life hell for those tackles. Should have been multiple false start penalties called. That says something. The D-line, Hayward, another big game from him, in my opinion. Just seems to be ageless. Derek Harmon, he was in on every single run stop that the Steelers had. And Keanu Benton, he had, I won't say Keanu Benton had the most surprising season for the Steelers, because I think that mantle goes to James Pierre. But you want to talk about a guy who you weren't expecting to, be given much of a chance, or he needed to have a big season to save his job. Keanu Benton certainly did that. So the defense was the winners last night. They had CJ Stroud fumble 4 times because he was always constantly looking at the rush, forced 3 turnovers, and that all, happened before halftime. But the offense, they failed more than the Steelers' defense by a long shot. The Steelers, rest of their losers, even though I like Joey Porter Jr., have high hopes for this group for the rest of the season. The Steelers' offensive line, I mean, they had to be losers, and predictably so. They went up against the best front in football. Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson combining for 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles last night. But the Steelers O-line, again, bad night for them. They went up against the buzzsaw, but looking to the future, feel pretty good about those guys. Another loser from last night, the tight ends, Jonnu Smith, the biggest of them all. Don't understand why we are still drawing up plays, Arthur Smith, for Jonnu Smith to get the ball, but apparently he just kept on getting it over and over and over again last night. Now that Smith is hopefully going to skedaddle, that will change. Also, Pat Freiermuth, not a loser by his own doing. Just they, for some reason, did not want to target him in this offense. Had just 1 catch for 18 yards last night, and that was under 5 targets too. So terrible for Muth. I mean, if he requests a trade out of here, not because Tomlin is gone, but because this team just did not utilize him at all this season, I won't blame him at all. Muth, playing good soldier today, said that he is a Steeler and he wants to be here, but we'll see if that holds up throughout the offseason. The last loser from last night's game, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we thought that he was going to go out, with playing some good football. He was going to be motivated for greatness and show that he still had it before he walked into retirement. But last night, he looked as stiff as a board, just completely outmatched by the defense. 17 for 33, 146 yards, no touchdowns, a pick, a fumble, 4 sacks. Just, couldn't do it. When he goes up against these elite defenses, Rodgers just completely gets overwhelmed by it. And that was something that we thought he was going to be good at, taking apart these defenses, no matter how good or bad. But, excuse me there. But yeah, that's not the case for Rodgers this year. And to end his career, he now rides off into the sunset on a dud. We'll see if he still plays, but I doubt it. Do want to say, though, that though the season did not end the way that he wanted, Rodgers, kudos to him, played above any expectations we had for him this season. 24 passing touchdown to 7 INTs, some of the most competent quarterback play we've seen from the Steelers in a while. So good luck, best of your future in retirement, A-Rod. But just like Tomlin, time for you to go on to new things in life. So that wraps up, talking about last night's game. So bad again in the playoffs. Let's go Bucks chants were even heard out in the stadium as fans were walking out. 28 days, I think, away from spring training. So fans looking forward to baseball season. Imagine that, saying that, within the last 5 years, that fans would be looking forward to baseball season walking out of a Steeler game. Just crazy. So we'll see what the Steelers do. Got a lot to figure out this offseason. Coaching staff, roster. Steelers have a good bit of unrestricted free agents. Some notable guys that I would bring back. Calvin Austin, Asante Samuel. You got Kenneth Gainwell, of course, he's top of the list. James Pierre. Miles Killebrew, just because he's the special teams ace and just got hurt. So those guys probably my top 4 to bring back. The rest we can make arguments for. Isaac Seumalo as well on that list. So we shall see. Tons to talk about in the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 9 of you still hanging around here right now. Got a new comment just a moment ago from Coconut. Welcome, Coconut. Let's go get Gruden. You want to, have a guy who's going to bring back the intensity of Steelers football and who can maybe elevate the offensive side of the ball for once, and who knows, maybe get this team back to being competitive in playoff games again. Gruden might be near the top of that list. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 12 of you now in here. Going to real quick switch up gears here. Going to get this bit of news in here within the next 15 minutes because the Pittsburgh Penguins and Tampa Bay Lightning are about to drop the puck here in about 20 Do have a tiny bit of Pittsburgh Penguins news here today. That's, of course, overshadowed by everything going on with the Steelers, but we do cover all Pittsburgh professional sports teams here. The Penguins, since we last spoke, they played 2 games over the weekend, and not much went right for them on the ice. And then we found out earlier today that not much went right off the ice either. The Penguins, starting on Saturday, they were at home for a game against the Calgary Flames. They lost the weekend, really, before it even began. Brian Rust, one of their top forwards, day to day with an undisclosed injury. I think that it turned out to be a lower leg injury, a lower body injury, and now he is most likely going to be week to week with that injury. Is Rusty. So the Penguins, they did some lineup shuffling and did not bode well from them in either game. Against the Flames on Saturday night, gave up a goal early on a terrible D-to-D pass. They did get a goal back in the second period. Yegor Chinikov, his second goal as a Penguin off a nice play with Evgeny Malkin, but then the Flames with Matt Coronato, he scored a goal early in the third period. That made it 2-1. The Pens, no matter how hard they tried to tie up the game, the crowd willing them on, they just could not do it. They did have a goal get called back, but it was an absolutely atrocious goaltender interference call. The referees beat the Penguins just as much as the Flames did in that game on Saturday night. On to Sunday, the Penguins, again, did some lineup shuffling for some ungodly reason. Kevin Hayes, who can't skate anymore, was the second line center for Evgeny Malkin and Yegor Chinikov. Of course, as expected with that line, and really looking at the rest of the lines, they were not productive whatsoever. The Penguins gave up a goal eventually in the first period. They had a goal, Boston did, for Sean Corrali get called back as he punched the midair puck into the net, but the Bruins did get a goal 11 minutes into the opening frame, and that's all she needed. That's all she needed. The Bruins, that is 1-0, the final score. The Penguins, they just looked completely flat, and no matter what they did, no matter how hard they tried, they were not going to score a goal. They could have played 100 minutes tonight, but it wouldn't have mattered a single bit. 2 regulation losses over the weekend. That obviously takes a ton of wind out of the sails of the Penguins, who were still coming off of a 5-game or 6-game winning streak. But now they're going to need to bounce back tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they're going to need to do so without a big piece of their team, even a bigger piece than Brian Rust. Erik Karlsson today placed on injured reserve with a lower body injury that will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So the Penguins lose their most dynamic and offensive producing defenseman for who knows why. Who knows what happened. I don't know, but that's a big, big blow. And I say that, I know the Pens have Chris Letang, but it's not like Chris Letang is having a good season here. Karlsson, he was showing some former Norris Trophy winning defenseman stuff this year, producing offensively, and now he's going to be out a minimum of 2 weeks. The Penguins, they are going to need to dig real deep here if they are going to stay in the playoff hunt here during this time without Karlsson and Brian Rust. 2 big losses for the Penguins lineup. The Penguins, they did call up forward Tristan Brose and defenseman Ryan Graves from Wilkes-Barre, optioned forward Raphael Harvey-Pinard, who is up here for the weekend, didn't get into the lineup, back down to Wilkes-Barre. You're looking at the Penguins lines here. Brian Rust, thankfully, did return to practice tonight. Have not seen the Pens starting lineup yet. He was questionable to be in the lineup here tonight, but if Rust comes back, that will be a nice, consolation prize to losing Erik Karlsson. The lineups shifting again here today. Raquel, Crosby, Rust, Malkin, Novak, Chinikov, Mantha, Kindle, Brazo, Dewar, Lazat, Achari, and then Kulak, Letang, Wotherspoon, St. Ivany, Shea, Clifton, the defense pairings at the practice rink here today. Hopefully that group good enough to get the Penguins a win here tonight, despite being down Erik Karlsson. and also Arturs Shilovs in net for the Penguins tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here in a moment. Begin to wrap up the Pittsburgh sports news of the weekend and the ton of news that came down today. Going to wrap up the show with that stuff here in a moment. One last thing I forgot to mention yesterday in Boston, the Penguins lose, or 2 days ago in Boston, the Penguins losing to the Bruins 1-0. Congratulations to two former Bruins, Connor Clifton and Kevin Hayes. Well, Kevin Hayes, he isn't a former Bruin, but he is a Boston native. Congratulations to those two. Clifton playing in game number 400 of his career. Hayes, game number 800 in a hometown setting. Ooh. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry, that sneeze came really, really out of nowhere. Anyways, back here to the extra Pittsburgh sports news. Wrapping up things here for the evening. Going to get back into football, but before we do that, a couple comments here. Concepts, pay Kenny G whatever it takes. I agree. I hope that the new head coach that comes in here realizes the value that Kenneth Gainwell brought to the offense, regardless of the scheme this past season, and that he gets paid respectfully and handsomely for his contributions. Concepts again here, give Kenny G all of Smith's money and make Moose tight end one. Yeah, I mean, Jonnu Smith, he is, if you cut him, I think you get about $7 million back. I'm throwing that Kenny G's way, and on top of the money he made this year, which was $1 million, $8 million for Kenny G. You know, in the grand scheme of running backs, it's a pretty penny, but the way he produced, he will be worth it. I'd start at a Jalen Warren level contract and work my way up from there. Have your two running backs at your running back room at around $10 million, $12 million at most, something like that. I will take that all day long with those two. Going to, like I said, get back into the extra Pittsburgh sports news for the day here. Back into the whole Mike Tomlin situation, him stepping down here today. There was a crazy take from Chris Canty of ESPN First Take. He said, if you're Pittsburgh, you should beg Mike Tomlin to want to be there. But if you're Mike Tomlin, why would you want to stay? Well, Canty, I think he's in the group of the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Well, from what I heard, Tomlin was going to be scooped up and hired in like 2 seconds. Well, he's still on the market right now, so we shall see if Canty's take on First Take this morning. This was in the morning. It wasn't, after Tomlin departed. It was this morning that the Steelers should beg him to stay. We'll see if he turns out to be right or not. Also got a reaction from Ravens order Steve Bisciotti on Tomlin stepping down today. Bisciotti, understandably, giving out a holy shit, just like what I started the breaking news stream with earlier today. Bisciotti shocked by Tomlin stepping down. He also said, it would be awesome for Tomlin to be a head coach, but only if John Harbaugh took the Pittsburgh job. So obviously joking that neither of those two coaches are going to play for the other team. Bisciotti also, interestingly enough, apparently Harbaugh, he was going to be out even if the Ravens did make the playoffs. Bisciotti was asked if Harbaugh would still be the head coach of the Ravens if Tyler Luke made that field goal, which, now hindsight being 2020, I just wish that he would miss it. But Bisciotti saying that for a week, Harbaugh would have still been the Ravens head coach. So it sounds like just like what was going on with Tomlin here in Pittsburgh. Sounds like Harbaugh, even if he made the playoffs and suffered a similar fate like what the Steelers did, he might have been out as well. We'll say this, going to be really, really weird next year seeing the Ravens and Steelers play each other with brand new head coaches that are pretty much going to be completely clueless and inexperienced in this historic rivalry. So that is going to be really, really odd next year, just like seeing a Steelers team not coached by Mike Tomlin. But hey, we will get used to it eventually. Back to the Ravens and also the Cleveland Browns and their search for head coaches. Now that the Steelers are joining that, will pay extra attention to their head coaching searches. The Browns, they had a couple of head coaching interviews over the weekend. They interviewed Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Will Monken remain there in Baltimore? We shall see. I think he is going to get an interview from the Ravens, possibly get elevated from offensive coordinator, but Monken being eyed up by the division rival. Another guy that is being eyed up by both the Browns and Ravens and probably the Steelers as well, at least for a coordinating position. Mike McDaniel interviewed with the Browns yesterday. The Ravens are also on the docket for him to interview with, so McDaniel could be coming to the AFC North if it is not the Steelers. The last guy that I think is scheduled to have a meeting with the Browns for their head coaching gig, the offensive coordinator of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe. I forget his name right now, but he's on their list. For the Ravens, besides, of course, internal interviews for the head coaching gig with their OC and DC and Mike McDaniel being on the docket, the Ravens also completed an interview yesterday with Cliff Kingsbury. He's a guy who could be on the radar of the Steelers if they want to go more offensive-minded. Might want to get an interview with him before Kingsbury comes to a decision. Also, would not be upset if the Ravens hired this guy, former Chicago Bears head coach, current DC with the Kansas City Chiefs, Matt Nagy. He interviewed on Sunday for the Ravens head coaching gig. We shall see who comes away as the favorite for the Browns and the Ravens soon enough. Some other things related to the Steelers. Congratulations to the Houston Texans, not just for the wins, not just for the win. I say that sarcastically, but also congratulations to them on getting their ass kicked coming up here on Sunday by the New England Patriots. Why do I say that they are going to get their asses kicked? Look at your TV screen. Look at your phone screens, TV screens, however you're watching this right now. Need I say anything else about why the Texans are going to lose on Sunday? If you're a gambling person, if you're a bettor, put together a nice little prop bet with the Texans because their dumbass mascot decided to bring an unholy curse upon them. So have fun with that there, Houston. Enjoy going up to New England just to get stomped out. Couple other things related to the Steelers. This would probably be a big talking point today had it not been for everything that went down. Congratulations to Steelers captain and defensive leader Cam Hayward, named to the second team second All-Pro team by the Associated Press a few days ago. Hayward this season first in snaps played at age 36 by defensive linemen. Also a second in run stops, second in missed tackle percentage, ninth in pressures, and second in pass breakups. An absolutely insane season from Hayward. He just continues to defy Father Time. Now since he turned 30 years old, which was in 2019, Hayward, 3 first-team All-Pros, 2 second-team All-Pros, 5-time Pro Bowler, 47 sacks. Unreal back end of the career for Cam Hayward, and should he continue to play for the Steelers, I'm sure he can churn out another year or two of production like that. Shockingly, though, this actually pissed me off, and I think it pissed off a good bit of us concepts. You bring it up in the comments section right here. Somehow, Joey Porter Jr. got snubbed from being an All-Pro altogether. Both first team and second team. Absolutely ridiculous. Dude has a shutdown season, does not let up an interception. I'm sure Pro Bowl, All-Pro votes were a flashy thing. You needed to have a few interceptions. Porter had one, but dude was absolutely locked down over there. So I didn't get why he didn't get a single Pro Bowl vote. Let me reiterate that. Joey Porter Jr. did not get a single All-Pro vote. Crazy. Insane. Neither did Zach Frazier either. Thought he could have made a chance. Him or Troy Fautanu, but nobody voted for Joey Porter Jr. That's insane. He could have made it over, a Quignon Mitchell or a Cooper DeJean, I'm sure. But hey, just motivates him for greatness down the line. In the last piece of information related to the Steelers currently, offensive lineman Dylan Cook, he celebrated his birthday 2 days ago. Happy birthday to him. Really stepped up in the absence of Broderick Jones near the ending of the season. Fared well in the first half against Will Anderson. Then, of course, the Texans started to eat in the second half. But hey, I'll give him A for effort and what he did in the first half. Moving into baseball, first time that we're getting in depth on the Pittsburgh Pirates right here. Their division rivals making moves. Some adding to the team, some subtracting to the team. The big add, this might be the biggest move that will be made in the National League Central Division this offseason. Alex Bregman, outstanding multi-time All-Star World Series champion, formerly of the Boston Red Sox. Before that, long time Houston Astro. He, now in the Pirates division, signing a 5-year, $175 million contract over the weekend with the Chicago Cubs. That is a problem if you are the Pirates. Bregman, I mean, yeah, he's getting up there in age. He's like 34 or something now, if I remember correctly. But still, when you bring in a star power player like that to one of your top of the division rivals, the Pirates, they need to take note of that. And honestly, I hope that motivates them even more to get aggressive and bring in a third baseman. Obviously, the top of the list, the creme de la creme that I want them to add at third base, Eugenio Suarez. He could go stride for stride from a batting standpoint with Alex Bregman, if not alternate to someone else who has been there, done that guy, who can still, produce on a given basis, like an Alec Boehm or something. But the Pirates, they definitely need to add in a big way right now that the Cubs got a whole hell of a lot better with Bregman. General manager of the Bucks, Ben Cherington, said so. He said he's confident a few days ago that the Pirates will continue to add to the roster. He said notably a position player on the left side of the infield as well as pitching is what they are looking to add. Reiterated that 2 days ago on MLB Network Radio, saying ideally we would add to both the bullpen, the starting pitching group, and also one more position player. Well, Ben, you just saw Alex Bregman enter your division, so let's chop and get to getting that position player before anybody else beats you to the punch. The Pirates did add a third baseman today, though. I saw that they made a trade with the Phillies. Got my hopes up thinking it was Alec Boehm. Turns out it was just a minor addition. Third baseman Francisco Laredo, an 18-year-old in the rookie leagues for the Phillies, was traded to the Pirates for relief pitcher Chase Shugart, who was DFA'd by the Bucks last week. So the Pirates maybe revisit that route, trading for a third baseman to the Phillies. Let's just swing a little bit bigger next time. Another minor addition that the Bucks did, they signed right-handed pitcher reliever Noah Davis to a minor league contract. 28 years old, had a 9.53 ERA over 62 and 1/3 big league innings last year with the Colorado Rockies. Or that's a career stat. My bad. He was 4 seasons with the Colorado Rockies, a 9.53 ERA, 62 and a third innings pitched, 58 strikeouts, 205 WHIP. A lot to work on there, but he is coming to an organization that somehow is a big good pitching factory. So I will see if the Pirates can, get him to be an average reliever. That'd be good. The Pirates also, according to reports over the weekend from Alex Stumpf, who is a beat writer for MLB.com, he covers the Bucks. Reports do confirm that the Pirates have reached out to some players in those spots that Ben Cherington said the Pirates were looking at. Jose Quintana, Tyler Anderson, former Pirate pitchers, lefty starters. They could be having a reunion in Pittsburgh. At third base, Eugenio Suarez. Thank goodness. It's a long shot, but I want to keep my hopes up. And this one here, a little less sexy of an addition, Yoan Moncada, third baseman for the Angels. The Pirates pitching staff could also be getting back some additions internally. Jared Jones over the weekend, throwing his first mound bullpen session since he had elbow surgery. So he is continuing to progress nicely to return at some point this upcoming season. The other big news on Pirates division rivals making a big move today. This one has some traction, and it came earlier today. The Arizona Cardinals, holy hell. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks and the St. Louis Cardinals. I just combined the two right there for the football team. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they acquired from the St. Louis Cardinals multi-time All-Star, 8 times to be exact, third baseman Nolan Arenado and cash in exchange for right-handed pitcher Jack Martinez. If I had to remember here, Arenado, outstanding glove at third base, getting older. Bat dropped off a little bit last year, but at least he is now out of the division entirely. The Cardinals clearly in seller's mode. They're being rumored to possibly be shopping second baseman Brendan Donovan to the San Francisco Giants. The Cubs also being mentioned in those trade rumors, possibly trading away Nico Horner. But another good player, maybe even 2 coming up here soon based off that Jeff Passan report getting taken out of the NL Central here. They did make a few additions, though. Pirates division rivals. The Cardinals, though they traded Arenado, they did add to their bullpen, signed relief pitcher, right-hander Ryan Stanek to a 2-year $6 million deal. 3.5 million this year for Ryan Stanek. Was rumored to be going to an NL Central team. Got my hopes up thinking it might have been the Bucks, but he goes to St. Louis. Also, the Reds added relief pitcher Pierce Johnson on a 1-year deal. Johnson, another decent relief pitcher, maybe looking to have a bit of a bounce back year. Speaking of pitchers, the Pirates according to MLB Pipeline, their brand new prospect rankings for the upcoming season. They have 2 Pirates in the top 10 for right-handed pitching prospects. Bubba Chandler, number 2 on the list, behind only Nolan McLean for the New York Mets. McLean is going to the World Baseball Classic to pitch for Team USA, so I bet that gave him brownie points. Also, Seth Hernandez, who was just drafted 6th overall by the Buccos a little under a year ago. He came in not even pitching a single game at any level for the Pirates at number 5 in right-handed pitching prospects. So congratulations to those 2. Glad to see it. The last few things here on the Pirates for the day. We found out yesterday that the Pirates, didn't know this, they will be among the least. As a matter of fact, they have the least miles to travel this season across the entire MLB. Just 26,839 miles to be traveled by the Buccos this season. That is the least amount of miles that any team has to travel. The next closest, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs, a little over 27,000 for the Cardinals, just about 28,500 miles for the Cubs. So good news. Pirates, they should be well rested in terms of their travel schedule this year. Congratulations to Don Kelly, Pirate manager. Nothing news-wise going on with him, but Kelly did today with Mike Tomlin stepping down with maybe half a season on the job and officially being named manager this offseason. He is now the longest tenure coaching figure in Pittsburgh professional sports. Kelly coming in midway through the season, filling in for Derek Shelton, who got fired. Since then, the Penguins, they moved on from Mike Sullivan, hired Dan Muse, and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they got a new coach, and now today, Mike Tomlin stepping down as Steelers head coach. So with not even a full year as being the head honcho of his team, Don Kelly, the Pittsburgh Pirates, or the Pittsburgh City longest tenured head coach for sports. Talk about a new era all the way around for Pittsburgh sports. Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins. New eras starting all around here for Pittsburgh sports. And the last thing here for the day for the Pirates, thoughts and prayers to the family and loved ones of former Pirate pitcher Dave Geisty. Geisty pitching for the Pirates for 15 big league seasons, was a member of the 1971 World Series championship team, led the National League in saves that championship year with 30, stayed in Pittsburgh after his playing career, was a big active member of the community and the Pirates alumni group, and he just passed away yesterday. So thoughts and prayers to Dave Giusti, former Pirate pitcher. Back into the Pittsburgh Penguins here. Game just started off here to my right with the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Penguins, on a contrary to what happened to them over the weekend, they actually get the game's first power play. They're on the power play right now, a new looked power play with Chris Letang taking over for Erik Karlsson. Not doing so hot thus far, the Lightning playing keep away, so nothing. Approaching 17 minutes left to go in the first period in that game. The Penguins, biggest news for them over the weekend. Yesterday, the Pens making an extension signing, and a very deserved one as well. The Penguins signing forward Blake Lizotte to a 3-year contract extension. The payment comes out to $2.25 million per season for Lizotte. Very deserved for Lizotte. I know he's a fourth line center, but he is an absolute spark plug for this team. Never ever loses any sort of steam out there. He is an absolute animal, always working hard. He earned every single penny of that contract from this season. So welcome back to the Berg for 3 more years, Blake Lizotte. 10 points through 35 games this season. Absolute hound dog out there. Keep it up, Lizzo. And the last few things here for the Penguins today. Made a hiring. They hired Jonathan Garcia as their assistant skating coach. I'm not sure what all he's going to do, but he's going to assist with skating. The Penguins could be getting back another defenseman with Erik Karlsson going down. Defenseman Caleb Johnson, who's been out the entire season up until this point pretty much, was assigned to Wilkes-Barre on a conditioning loan. He's coming back from a extensive lower body injury. And also their division rival in the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets, they took a trade acquisition of the Penguins, Yegor Zamula, a couple weeks ago. Now the Blue Jackets making a change at head coach. Dean Everson out, in now Rick Bowness, a very experienced head coach at the NHL level, especially with the Winnipeg Jets. So Bowness in, Everson out in Columbus. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we are just about going to wrap up the things here for the night. Just going to wrap up with a few comments and a quick scroll on Twitter before we log off. If there is any sort of last minute, I should say last hour news stories that came down while we were live here. Haven't looked at Twitter all this time. Seeing here anything, just tons and tons of Mike Tomlin stuff here today. Bryant McFadden, former Steelers corner, Super Bowl champion, chiming in on who the Steelers should hire as their next head coach, going to one of his old teammates, I'm sure, Antoine Randall L., who's what was he, the wide receiver coach, maybe the OC for the Lions? Said, let's bring my former teammate back home, says McFadden. So McFadden weighs in on who he wants. Tons of people doing that right now. We have anything else? Underdog Sports here saying the Browns have had 35 different starting quarterbacks and 9 different head coaches during Mike Tomlin's tenure as Steelers head coach. Yeah. Garbage franchise right there. So, interesting here. Chris Shula could be the head candidate for the Steelers head coaching gig besides Brian Flores. The Rams defense rankings under Shula: 5th in points per drive, 6th in turnovers generated, 7th in EPA per play, 7th in success rate, 8th in sacks. LA spent only $62 million on its defense this season, dead last in the entire NFL. All right, there. If he's doing that with that defense, let's get him on one of the more expensive, high-profile defenses in the NFL. Would take that. Shula, Flores, Clint Kubiak. Take any one of those guys if you're not going to go the veteran route. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's just about going to do it. Wrapping up, like I said, with your comments, concepts here before we go. Alec Pierce may be available too. Jawan Jennings as well. Who knows? Yeah, we'll see how big of a spender in free agency for a wide receiver the Steelers are going to be. Would not be upset. I would like them to bring back Calvin Austin as a niche role type of player, but if they're able to bring in a guy like that, a Pierce or a Jennings, to be a low end 2, high end number 3, and split time with Calvin Austin, I would still love the Steelers to draft a wide receiver. Then you go overkill in fixing the wide receiver 2 issue. So I take that right here. Concepts: Texans are fools. Good job, clown. LOL. Indeed, that is hilarious. Them ripping the terrible towel. I mean, obviously, Steeler fans are pissed, but the hex has been put upon them. Coach T can't be signed. He's still under contract. Also, it's his choice where and when he signs. He will be hired in the first minute if and when he decides to. Agreed their concepts. Steelers, anyways, that happens. Should that happen, going to get compensated for it, you would think. Truth here, Pirates will finish over 500 this season, guaranteed. One more bat, then you can maybe talk me into that. Pirates make the postseason. My dad going bigger, better. My God, could you imagine what a Bucktober in this doom and gloom era that hopefully we are starting to come out from in Pittsburgh sports. Could you imagine what a Bucktober to kick off the new era would do to this city, would do to the city of Pittsburgh? They'd be all the way back on all sports. Looks here, sounds like Justy. Yeah, I wasn't sure how to pronounce his last name. I apologize for butchering it if I did. Concepts here again. Agreed. Definitely draft a wide receiver no matter what. Also, a free agent would be nice too, so the rookie has time to learn and grow. Agreed. Would rather overkill a situation, have the rookie be put in a favorable situation. Not needing to immediately step in and be a number 2. It's always great to have an insurance blanket there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that just about does it. Combined with the breaking news of Tomlin's departure live stream earlier and this live stream here tonight, nearly on stream for 3 hours again here today, in addition to the 3.5 to 4 hours we put in last night. So I think besides recording the SCSR 60 here in a few moments, going to give the voice a little bit of a break for the next 24 hours or so. But we will come back tomorrow and talk about more fallout from Tomlin stepping down, what Art Rooney II has to say in his press conference. That's going to be maybe the lead of tomorrow's show. And then we'll also talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins and how they do here tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that's going to wrap things up here for the crazy last 24 hours of Pittsburgh Steelers coverage and sports. This has been exhausting but exhilarating at the same time, if that makes any sense. Was not expecting to get that news today. Also, we go from all sorts of emotions last night to all sorts of emotions even more today. It was a fun past 24 hours, but excited to put it behind us and move forward here because we have a ton to talk about here now over the next few months before next football season. So with that, thank you all, whether you were here last night, here this afternoon, or here this evening. Thank you all for joining me here tonight. Okay, who the hell cares? There was a big trade, there was a trade in the MLB. New York Yankees acquiring left-handed pitcher Ryan Weathers for a whole bunch of prospects. Okay, doesn't affect us at all. So just saw Jeff Passan pop up. I saw, that would have been great. Starting to wrap up, talking a whole bunch, and then the Pirates do something there. So turns out that's a false alarm, but thank you all for no matter on what live stream you stopped in over the last 24 hours. I appreciate it very, very much. The channel grew. We're over 700 subscribers on the channel. One last subscriber check before we log off tonight. Still hanging around. No, we got one more, 707 on the subscriber count. So thank you to the new subscriber that subscribed recently and the new subscribers that subscribed in the past few days, getting the channel over 700. Appreciate you. Of course, on your way out, if you have not done so, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing. Like, share, leave a comment on this live stream after the fact. I can get back to you and respond to what you put in the comment section at a different time. Also, like, share, or excuse me, go give the channel a follow. Facebook, Instagram, and X at Steel City SR, and tune in later tonight for SCSR 60. That wraps things up. Thank you all for tuning in over the last 24 hours. Thank you for the comments, the likes, the comments, and the reactions, your thoughts, all that made things go smoother than I expected over the Steelers game last night and the news today. So thank you all. We'll be back here tomorrow. Tons to talk about with what's going to go on in the next 24 hours. So we'll come back and break it all down here tomorrow. This game, Rooney, more on Tomlin, all of that here tomorrow, 5:30. Have a good rest of your Tuesday night. Keep thinking it's a Monday. Have a good rest of your Tuesday night. See you back here tomorrow. Peace.